Clarify the parable of the rich man and Lazarus.
Okay, let me go there real quick to Luke chapter 16, and we'll talk about this. He said, let me read it. It says, and this is a parable. It only appears this one place in Luke. It's not in the other Gospels. And Jesus gives this actually after he's answering a number of quizzes that are coming to him by the religious leaders. There was a certain man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and he fared or feasted sumptuously every day. And there was a certain poor beggar named Lazarus that laid at his gate full of sores, desiring to be fed with the crumbs that fall from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. It came to pass that the beggar died, and he was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. And the rich man also died and was buried, and in hell, the word there used is Hades, he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and he saw Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried out and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he might dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said to him, Son, remember that you in your lifetime received good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he's comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between you and us there is a great gulf fixed, so that those who would pass from here cannot to you, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. He said, Oh, but I pray therefore, Father, if you would send him to my father's house. For I've got 5 brethren, that he might testify to them, lest they also come to this place of torment. Abraham said unto them, They have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. He said, Oh, but nay, Father Abraham, if one went to them from the dead, they will repent. And here's what you would call the moral of the story. He said, If they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one should rise from the dead. First thing, some people are saying, well, it's got people dying and they're communicating right after death, and life is still going on earth. Doesn't this mean that when people die, that they're aware of what's happening on earth and they go right to heaven or right to hell when they die? Well, first of all, it's a parable. You can't take everything in a parable literally. Do we really believe that everyone who dies goes to Abraham's bosom? It's the only time Abraham's bosom is mentioned in the Bible. And it says this man's in Hades. Let me tell you what this parable does mean. The Greeks believed in mythology. They had a god named Pluto in charge of Hades. The Jews believed you went to be with Abraham. But here you've got this poor man. He goes to Abraham's bosom. And you've got the rich man. He goes to Hades. The rich man represented the Jewish nation, or believers. They've got the truth, but they're not sharing the bread of life. A poor man, he's like the Gentiles. He wants the crumbs of truth that fall from their table, but they're not sharing it. Jesus is saying, you may be surprised that in the judgment, there could be Christians or Jews that knew the truth, that did not share the truth. They're going to be in heaven. But you've got the Jew, the rich man, he's going to the Greek place of torment. So Jesus is using some irony here. They all understood what was happening. They were surrounded by these Gentiles that were starving for the crumbs that fell from their table. It's symbols. Mm-hmm. One drop of water cannot cool a person's tongue. And did Jesus raise someone from the dead by the name of Lazarus? And they still didn't believe. They wanted to kill him. So it's clearly a parable. It's not telling us that. Wouldn't it be awful if the people in heaven and hell could talk to each other? I mean, when you think about that. So no, this is a parable that Jesus was actually using some of their own mythology to try and teach them a lesson.
Okay, very good.